thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. We are excited and happy to talk about the Youth Justice Community Reinvestment Fund and for the opportunity for so many small grassroots organizations to be able to take advantage and apply for this funding for all of the work that you're doing in our communities. So let's start off with a few housekeeping tips. We're asking, and you've joined in a listening mode, and we'd like to keep you on mute throughout the presentation. We'll open it up for questions once it's done. If you have any kind of technical issue, would you put it in the chat function and we'll try and work on it and resolve it. We'll have questions at the end of the presentation. Any of those that we can't answer, there are websites that you can visit and send us your frequently asked questions or questions that you may have. We will respond to them directly, but also we'll have them posted on our website. This webinar is being recorded and it will also be posted on the webinar on the Change Happens website. We hope that you will also be receiving a copy of this presentation and it will automatically be mailed out to you. And we ask that you participate in a very brief 1-minute survey at the end of today's presentation. And we appreciate your help with this. Sajida? And here's just a brief overview of the agenda for today. We will have some introductions and then we'll get directly into the application process. And then we'll go through some questions. Thank you. I'd like to make some introductions at this time. My name is Helen Stagg, and I'm the CEO of Change Happens. Also with us is Dr. Sajida Mignon. She works here at Change Happens. She is a program coordinator, and she will be working closely with the Reinvestment Fund. I'd also like to introduce Kelly Vinci Gonzalez, who is the Youth Justice Policy Analyst with Harris County, and Iris Lewis, who is the Community Liaison with Harris County Juvenile Probation Department. Thank you, Kelly and Iris, for being here, and I will turn it over to Kelly at this time.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And I'm just so excited that everyone is here. Thank you for your time. And thank you to Change Happens for stepping into the role as intermediary. I'm very appreciative that so many folks have come together to help kids out. My name's Kelly Vinci Gonzalez. I'm with Harris County, and I've been working on this reinvestment fund for about over a year. I took over from someone else about, I don't know, a year and a few months ago. And just really excited. I'm with the Office of Justice and Safety. We used to be the Justice Administration Department. So if you've heard JAD, we are now the OJs. So I'm happy to be here. And just a little history on the Reinvestment Fund. This was a fund that was put together by Commissioner's Court with the idea that we would best serve families and children if they stayed in their communities and were able to stay at home when at all possible. And so Commissioner's Court came together and they charged JAD and JPD with kind of looking at different alternatives so that we could keep kids out of detention and in the community. So we looked at other jurisdictions, we looked what was going on across the country, and one of the issues that came up when we also spoke to local folks was it was very hard to compete with some of the more established nonprofits in the area and apply for Harris County grants or state grants or federal grants. So after doing research, we came up with this idea of the Reinvestment Fund, which would help small grassroots organizations come together and build up that capacity so that they could compete with the larger organizations. So we put this together. We presented it during our budget presentations to Commissioners Court in January of 2021. Juvenile Probation Department automatically signed on to it. They're fully committed to really investing in the community and really want services to take place at the community level rather than at when they get to juvenile justice. So the Commissioners Court unanimously passed this concept in February and approved our budget. The budget of $4 million, and that's $2 million from the Office of Justice and Safety and $2 million from the Juvenile Probation Department to work towards creating this fund. Now, as you notice, there's a lot of time between January of 2021 and today. We worked together to put out an RFP to attract the intermediary, someone that would have an organization that would have the technical expertise to come alongside smaller nonprofits, smaller grassroots organizations, and really help build up capacity, infrastructure, programming, and delivery. And so the first RFP we put out, we ended up canceling. We kind of circled back. And we again put it out about 6 weeks later. And we had a few different folks apply, organizations apply, and through the competitive bidding process, Change Happens was selected to be the intermediary. That was in April of this year, of 2022. And then once they were awarded, which was again unanimously passed by Commissioners Court, they got right to work on putting together the subgrantee RFP to get that money and support out to these smaller organizations and really have worked diligently to get this out. It's been really exciting to work with Change Happens. That is kind of where we are today, and really excited that the subgrantee application is out and there's some folks here that seem interested in applying. And that's kind of where we are. The goal of the reinvestment fund is we're casting a really wide net, right? So we're looking at prevention, intervention, and then also preventing recidivism. We are looking at communities that have been disproportionately impacted by juvenile justice, areas where we get a lot of referrals to juvenile justice, and really building up the capacities in those areas so that kids don't come to juvenile justice, they go on and they live their lives and grow into adults, or if they are in juvenile justice, there are supports in the community so they can stay with families and get whatever they need to be healthy, well-functioning adults. And we're really looking to partner with the community, looking to the community and Change Happens as experts on how to create those services that would best serve the community. Change Happens will make direct investments in community-based organizations, and they will help with developing policy and best practices. Now, I did mention $4 million, and so just in terms of transparency, obviously some of that money will go to compensate Change Happens because they are the administrators of this fund, and then there will also be a third-party evaluator that will come in and make sure we're setting metrics that can be measured, and that after this project in 2 years, when they look at it, that it's actually effective. We want to make sure that we're being wise with taxpayer dollars and make sure that the money we are using is actually going to the community and helping the community. So that the third-party evaluator should hopefully be coming on in fall. They'll be coming on first thing and really getting us set up for success. This is a pilot project, so it's subject to renewal from Commissioners Court, and I think everybody here wants to see this work, and I do believe that investing in communities is the best way to develop healthy families and keep kids and families out of juvenile justice. And I'm just excited to be here, and I'm going to toss it back to Ms. Stagg. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Kelly. We appreciate your being here and providing that history and overview of the fund. And at this time, we'd also like to really thank the Harris County Commissioners Court and the Judge Hidalgo for having the foresight to reinvest its money into this program. And we thank them for that. And we thank everyone who's went through the process, including the Office of Safety and Justice and the Harris County Juvenile Probation Department and the Youth Advisory Group. For doing all of this work to get this started. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Mignon to go through some of the process here. And if you want to follow along with the RFP, but she'll be addressing some of the highlights of the RFP. Sujita?
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Stagg, for the introduction. And thank you, Kelly, for taking us through the background and history of the fund. I'm happy to take us through the role of Change Happens as the intermediary organization. And Change Happens was selected as the intermediary to support grassroots services providers and community-based organizations with a focus on communities of color to prevent further justice involvement. Our role is to engage directly with these impacted communities to determine which types of services to fund, as well as select grantee organizations as we have started with this RFP process, and administer the grants to approximately 4 to 6 organizations at variable funding levels. After which, our role is to support grantee organizations through training, coaching, building infrastructure, capacity monitoring, auditing, facilitating partnerships, and best practices. We also seek to report on the grants through performance measures, financial reports using shared metrics of youth well-being to track grantee success. We will provide a data collection platform for tracking these outcomes quarterly and submitting the reports to the funders. And we will be the point of contact for problem solving, resolving conflicts, and responding to complaints. So the eligible applicants for this solicitation would include nonprofits having a 501c3 designation other than institutions of higher education, nonprofits that do not have a 501c3 designations other than institutions of higher education, faith-based organizations, and Harris County-based. So for this solicitation, all applications are welcome from across Harris County. However, applicants providing services in priority area zip codes are encouraged to apply. These 10 zip codes that are located on the right-hand side of the slide are priority areas as they were identified as having high number of HCJPD referrals and thus have a high need for services. The target population include youth and families impacted by the juvenile justice system. The youth should be aged 5 to 18 years of age who are at risk of being justice involved. There are some examples provided on the right-hand side of the slide, but this is a non-exhaustive list, and these are just some examples. Page 4 of the RFP provides some more examples as well, but we encourage you to target your efforts to the whole range and identify the risk factors that you're targeting and addressing. Efforts should also be targeted to populations that are disproportionately impacted by the juvenile justice system. Then estimated number of awards include 4 to 6 organizations, and they will receive a range of $212,500 to $318,750 over a period of 2 years, pending availability of funds, with the award commensurate with meeting performance metrics. Of the available funding, 20% is allocated for small, homegrown grassroots organizations. The timeline is as follows. We are conducting the pre-orientation conference webinars this week, today and tomorrow. The proposals are due on October the 5th, 2022, 11:59 p.m. We will also explain a few different ways of submitting this application later in this webinar. We will conduct oral interviews with finalists if it is required between October 24th to 26th. The grantees will be notified of the award on November 1st, and we will seek to execute the memorandum of understandings or contracts by November 15. The exact timeline is subject to changes based on the process that we will be undertaking. So I'll go straight into the RFP application. As we look at the application format, the page size should be 8.5 by 11, one side only, 1 inch margin, single spaced. All pages should be numbered in sequence, in a single sequence. We are looking to have font size 12 point in the Times New Roman or Arial font. Tables within any portion of the application must have a font size of at least 11 point and will be counted towards applicable page limits These tables include, it could be data tables or anything that serve as evidence toward your application. The cover page would be the next page that we're looking for, which should be only one page on your agency letterhead, which covers all of the following things here: the applicant's name, address, website, the executive director's name, phone number, email address, the primary contact person's name, title, phone number, email address, your tax EIN number, and the total amount of grant funds requested. And then we are looking to have a one-page project or program summary. This one-page program summary could be looked at as like an abstract that describes your work, the geographic areas served, a brief description of your proposed project, the vision and goals of the project, the total budget requested, and a description of how the funds will be used. So this is a one-page single-spaced summary that we're looking for. And then we will go to the project narrative. The project narrative is it has six different sections, and it's limited to 15 pages in total. These pages are single-spaced as well. We are looking for the history and organization description, which includes a very brief history of your organization's mission and goals, describing your current experience in serving youth and families, and also the programs that are currently offered by your organization, an overview of who your organization serves, for example, some demographic information. We would also like to hear from you on your management and board information. So please include the name of your CEO, the executive director, a primary contact for the request, a description of the organizational structure and employees' roles and titles, identify any conflicts of interest with all parties involved in the project. Please also respond to the question on the RFP regarding if anyone is serving or has served on the selection committee. So a special note on this slide is that any individual who has served on the evaluation committee or organizations cannot apply for this subgrant. The third point is on organizational readiness to engage in racial equity and inclusion. We would like to hear we would like to read your description on racial equity and inclusion work that your organization has undertaken to date. Please also describe your organization's non-discriminatory policy. We would also like to hear about your description of need. This should include information about the need in the communities that are served by your program. Please describe why your program is needed. Please describe the situation you have observed in the community and describing the opportunity or issue this project or program will address. Please also provide supportive data. This kind of includes the poverty data in the area that you're seeking to serve, the offending rate, some educational disparities, substance misuse, gaps in services, or any other data as appropriate. This data can be provided in tables as well, as we mentioned earlier, and will be counted towards your total page limit. We should also have the statement of project goals. This should describe how the program will positively impact youth and families. Please describe the program goals and describe the outcomes expected from the project or program. The last section for the project narrative includes the project description. This includes a detailed description of the proposed program. Please respond if this is a new program or it is an existing program you're building on, and describe the process for measuring performance, program performance. You could include who will collect the data, who's responsible for performance measurement, and also describe the process for measuring this. Please also describe the support you will need. Lastly, describing how the program seeks to engage your and partner with the community. You can describe some partnerships or networks that you will use to meet your participant needs. I'll now pass the time to Ms. Stagg to cover the budget line item and complete the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Sajida. In the attachment, one of the appendix, there's a section on the budget. That is to serve as an example of what's required for the budget. The budget line item are those categories that you justify in terms of personnel, travel, supplies, other kinds of costs, equipment. And so you would be following along a standardized line item budget. But you also would include a narrative to describe the rationale for that cost. How is it going to be used to support the project, and the computation of how you arrived at that figure. So in Appendix C, there is an example. You do not need or have to use that example, but it lays the way and provides a template for you and a sample of what is expected when you describe each of those costs. We're looking for a breakdown of yearly costs, a 12-month budget period that would begin November 1 of this year through October 31st of 2023. You want to ensure that your costs are reasonable and that they match and align with the activities that you've listed in the application, and to demonstrate that the costs are necessary to perform those proposed deliverables that you have. The budget line item and the narrative is limited to 5 pages. Sajida, the next slide. So there are some attachments that we will need to go along with the budget as well. Please provide a general operating budget for your most recently completed fiscal year. And if you would provide an explanation for how that general operating budget was used as a source. What source did you receive those funds for from revenue? Foundation support, contributions, earned income, public support. And so that's just a discussion that explains the sources of revenue that you have documented as a part of your general operating budget. We're also asking for a IRS Form 990 or any other kind of financial statement. So you may not have a 990, and you can say that you don't and explain that. But what other kind of financial statement that you have to support your operating budget? If you have an audited financial statement, we're asking you to attach that. If you do not, just explain that you do not and why you don't have it. Next slide. The other attachments that are needed, 2 letters of support. We need a 501c3 tax exemption letter. If you are a 501c3, as you heard earlier, this fund is not restricted to 501c3 organizations, but nonprofit organizations that are also operating and may be in the process of getting a 501c3 or may not have one at this time. On your agency letterhead, a written acknowledgement to consent to participate in this learning community and evaluation activities. And also on agency letterhead, a written acknowledgement to attest to the commitment to the goals of the fund. And that acknowledgement letter or those letters should be signed by the authorized official of the organization. So as I mentioned, you can refer to the sample budget in Appendix C, and there's a template there. You can feel free to use that as an example or any other format as long as your narrative contains the information that's requested. Next slide. So We've tried to make it available so that you can submit the application as easy as possible. So the first method that you can use is by email, and we're asking that you save and then scan that document to a PDF and separate the PDF file into 3 different files. One would be the narrative proposal, which would include the cover page, the proposal summary, and the project narrative. The second file would be the budget line item and narrative, and the third file would be the attachments. When you email those, we are asking that you name those files. File 1 would be your organization or your agency's name and title narrative proposal. File 2 would be your organization's name with the budget line item and narrative. And then the third file would be your agency name, title, attachments. In the subject line of the email, we are asking that you put in Youth Justice Reinvestment Fund Grant and the name of the organization. Applications must be received by October the 5th, 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And you would email it to the email address you see there, youthjusticefund@changehappens.tx.org. Next slide. If you're submitting by mail, we're asking that you put the packet together in this order with the cover page, the proposal summary, project narrative, the line item, budget, and narrative. And then your attachments would be the organizational budget for the current fiscal year, your most current Form 990, if you have one, the most current and recent audit, if you have one, the letters of support, the tax exemption letter, if you have one, and the 2 written acknowledgement letters. You should mail those to attention, Change Happens, attention, Youth Justice Reinvestment Fund Grant at 3353 Elgin, Houston, Texas, 77004. Your applications must be received or postmarked by no later than October 5th, 2022. If using this option, you are encouraged to get a confirmation of the postmark date from the delivery service. And the last option is if you want to physically drop the applications at this location. And those physical drop-offs would include the same format, putting together the packet, the same as you did for the mail, as you can see to your left. And you can bring it to our office here. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 o'clock. But if you drop it off at this location, it needs to be here by 5:00 p.m. on October the 5th. There is no preference for how you don't get any extra points or any of that. So there's no preference shown. We've just tried to expand it to ensure that whatever best fits your need as an organization, that you would have the opportunity to submit the application in that manner. Next. So the proposal review criteria will look at the completeness and compliance with the instructions, the format, the guidance. This scoring committee, the evaluation committee working on this, will be a group of independent peer reviewers made up of not only of Change Happens staff and some of the Office of Justice and Juvenile Probation, but community stakeholders as well, that there is no conflict of interest that's been identified. All evaluators that are participating must review and score the proposal based on the application response. So while they may know your organization, They're only going to be looking at the application to make sure that it's fair, objective, and transparent. Incomplete applications will not be considered. Next slide. And this scoring rubric lays out an example of the different sections and the point value. Cover page and project summary, 5 points, history and organizational description, 15, management and board information, 15, organizational readiness to engage in racial equity and inclusion, 10, description of need, 10, statement of project goals, 10, your project description, 20, budget line item and narrative, 10, the attachments, 5, for a total of 100 points. The priority criteria area that we were looking at may be awarded additional points if you serve those particular zip codes. So the scoring rubric will follow this outline. The response addresses the criteria in a very inadequate way. To receive fair, the response addresses the criteria in a non-specific or unsatisfactory manner. The response addresses the criteria in an adequate way. And good would be the response addresses the criteria in a substantial way. And the response addresses the criteria in an outstanding way. So in the appendices of the RFP, you have Appendix A, which is the proposal application checklist. You have the pre-orientation conference schedule and the sample budget narrative as well. Other terms and conditions, Change Happens reserves the right to negotiate funding on all or a portion of the proposal, to issue amendments to the RFP, and to modify dates. The fund will not pay any costs incurred in the responding to the RFP and putting the RFP together. We also reserve the right to request additional information. We are not responsible for any internal or external delivery delays. Change Happens also reserves the right to conduct interviews with the top qualified bidders. The organization that is selected for funding will be expected to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of the needs, the risks, the challenges, and opportunities for the target population. They will participate in an organizational assessment conducted by Change Happens. They will also be expected to engage and create and follow an action plan resulting from that assessment that's worked out together with the organization to commit to the fidelity of that action plan, and also to participate in meetings and webinars and trainings and conference call, not only with Change Happens, but with other awardees, with the Harris County staff, the advisory groups as well. And to be able to engage with community stakeholders, partners that you work with, and also in expanding and enhancing those partnerships, and to maintain this collaborative partnerships with community stakeholders, other awardees, and with the county staff and advisory group as well. Grantees are also expected to submit the reports as requested on time, to manage and maintain a skilled and appropriate workforce, to be able to provide culturally competent services in appropriate languages if that is the community that's being served, manage the funds and maintain billing systems, participate in evaluation activities, and also to share best practices and be actively engaged in this community of practice so that we can enhance peer-to-peer learning, but also enhance our collaboration with one another. So here are some key dates to remember. We're having the pre-orientation conference today and tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. The proposal is due on October 5th by 11:59 p.m. If oral interviews are conducted with finalists, it would be during the week of October 24th to the 26th. Grantees will be notified of the award by November 1 and executed MOUs and contracts by November 15th. But remember that those things may change. And before we get to the questions, you know, one of the outstanding things about this reinvestment fund is that not only, as Kelly said, that it is open for homegrown grassroots community organizations. We know that community organizations, being one ourselves, starting 33 years ago, we know the struggles of community-based organizations. Still to this day, Change Happens dare to do our work in the face of inequities all around. This opportunity provides to be able to support and build the infrastructure and the capacity of organizations. We know the value of what you do in communities. There's an African proverb that says, the young people will set the village on fire just to feel its warmth. Community-based organizations are there providing the warmth for the young people and the families that you serve. Change Happens believes in collaboration. We don't think that there's anything that any one organization can do of significance by itself. This is an opportunity not only to collaborate and share and support one another in this whole process, but it's also an opportunity to say to other community-based organizations all across this country and all government entities that have the choice of investing funds into community organizations, that what we put in place can work, that what we do makes a difference to young people and to families. And so this is an opportunity for all of us to work together to support this project, to be able to replicate it and to show that what we do as community-based groups is making a difference. And we know that and we believe it and we live it every day. So thank you so much for participating. There's another slide there before we get to the questions. Can you go to it, Sajida? So that one, yes. This is the just taken from this poem by Manish Mishra. We find ourselves here in community. All of us are here, others are here. There's some people in front, there's some people beside us, some behind us, but we're all passengers here. And each of us, every one of you are a captain. All of us doing the best we can. So I invite you to please come and let us journey together. We believe magnificent and transformative things can happen when people work together on one accord to do good things for other people. So I'll turn it over and we'll go back and open it up for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stagg, and for the inspiring speech. And we have a couple of questions on the Q&A, and we'd like to go through that one by one, if that's okay. If you have any other questions to the audience, please put that in the Q&A so that we can keep track of your questions as well. The first question that's posed here, what does data source in the general operating budget section refer to? I believe you're talking about page 12 on the RFP. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is page 11 on the RFP. Ms. Stagg, would you like to take that question?
The data sources are just what source did you use to provide the information that you put on your general operating budget? Those sources could come from maybe your you know, the fundraising part of it, or any of this, any kind of sources that that can support, that you can cite that support the operating budget. It may come from your financial audit, your Form 990. It could come from your annual financial statement, but it's the sources that you use.
Okay, thank you. The next question would be, can the budget line item be in a spreadsheet format?
Yes, it can. So you can use whatever format that you like. What you want to make sure of is that you have the narrative that goes along with it to explain the costs that you have listed there, and also to tie back in to your project activities. So those should all be in alignment. And you want to make sure that the computation is correct as well. But any format that you want to use, it's fine. As I said, the example and the appendix is not required. What it gives you a sense of is what kind of narrative discussion that you want to be able to include.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question would be, can collaborating organizations apply together?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Can collaborating organizations apply together?
I think we probably need to answer that, get back to you on that. So can we open that up to get a little bit more information? I'm not sure who asked that.
So this question was asked by Ms. Theresa Price.
Can you open her up? Maybe she can share a little bit more information by what she means.
Sure. Marcus, is that possible to open the ability for Ms. Price to speak, please? I think it's a little hard given the webinar format. Marcus, are you having any luck with this? Oh, there we go. We did it. All right, Ms. Price.
Ms. Price, will you unmute and clarify, just give a little information on your question?
There we go. We are investigating a program with another organization. We're Generation One, and just curious if we could provide for funding for this project we're considering with another organization.
Okay, yes, you can apply together with another organization, but someone would have to be the lead organization in that application.
Okay, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Price. Another question is from an anonymous attendee. Can you give examples of letters of support?
Okay, a letter of support is generally different than a letter of commitment or a letter of agreement or an MOU. A letter of support is just saying, we know this organization, we know the good work that they do, we fully support their application for funding. It's very simple, very short, and it comes from any stakeholder in the community who knows of your work and what you do. And that's different from a letter of commitment or an MOU where the party writing the letter is agreeing to perform a service. The letters of support, there is no service performed, there's no exchange, none of that. It's just saying that they know your organization, they know the kind of work that you do, they support your application for funding.
Wonderful, thank you. And there was a question on another chat to ask if we would accept more than 2 letters of support.
Yes, you can submit more than 2, but we're requesting that you just submit 2. And
Thank
the
you.
letters of support cannot come from the board. They need to be outside of your organization, outside of your board. And I also saw a question about the zip codes. So you can apply, you can service any zip code in Harris County. Those priority zip codes are just those zip codes where there are a high rate of referrals that come from those zip codes, but you are not restricted to applying. So if you provide or you are an organization in Harris County, you can apply for this funding.
Thank you. Another question is, can you confirm that if you have smaller grant requests, that the number of grants awarded could increase beyond 4 to 6 organizations?
That is true. There's a set pot of funds that can only fund so many. You know, one of the things that the research indicates is that giving organizations small grants does not really make a difference. So we don't want to have those smaller $10,000, $15,000 or $25,000 grants. They need to be significant that they can make a difference to an organization. So everybody may not be on the higher end of 318,000, but they may be on the lower end, which would also indicate that we may be able to give select more than the 4 to 6 organizations.
Thank you. So I think that answers Ms. Price's next question. Will you accept applications for less than 200K a year? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. The next question is from John Robinson. May we apply to provide services in one zip code, or do we need to submit for more than one?
No, wherever you're providing services, we want to know about where you're providing those services. So if you're in all of Harris County, we'd like to know about that. If you're in specific geographic areas, we'd like to know about that. So tell us about what you're doing in the areas that you are in. And if you're expanding and you want to go into a new program in another area, then tell us about that as well.
Thank you. The other question is, what if the organization is new? Can we still be considered?
I didn't hear the last part.
What if the organization is new? Could we still be considered?
Yes, there is no time limit on how long you have been an organization or how long you've been working as a nonprofit organization. There's not a time limit attached to it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Can funds be used to hire a program manager?
Yes, the funds, you tell us how you want to use the funds. You know, one of the things that nonprofit organizations do many times is that you may write your application or proposal that to fit what you think somebody else wants to hear. And you cheat yourself in that way. You should not, you should write what it is you want to do and what you need to do it. So if you need a program manager, then that's what you need to put in the application. But you need to also describe the rationale and the justification and why that person is needed or whatever it is that you're asking for, and how that improves the outcomes and how it takes care of the program.
Right. Great, wonderful. Thank you. I think we have completed the questions in the Q&A. We're going to the chat right now, and there are a few questions on there. Ms. Tech, there's a last question from from Sunshine Smith. She says, I need to speak to you because my proposal will definitely benefit from this. I just need help to do this. I just have people in place. I don't know if you want to take that question.
She just needs help to do what? I'm sorry.
I think she's just saying that she needs help to do this proposal, to this application.
Oh, okay. So, well, one of the things that we're restricted from doing is that we cannot help with the application itself, because first of all, we believe in transparency. We believe in making sure that everybody has the same opportunities. So, but I would say maybe that there are other persons that can assist you with that. We will certainly be open to answering any questions that you may have. So you can submit the questions that you have, And then we will respond back to those questions, but we can't help write the application for you. But maybe there are other stakeholders or other people on this call that might want to help out and volunteer to help out. That's one of the things that this whole fund is about, is helping to build the infrastructure of organizations. So there'll be a lot of technical capacity building in everything from areas of grant writing and boards and all of the different things that may come out of that assessment that Sajida talked about, of things that you might want to increase or expand or improve in to build your organization's capacity.
Okay, thank you. So I answered the question on whether when you're applying with another organization and one of them is the primary organization, do both of them have to be a 501c3? Can the secondary organization be a nonprofit while the first is not? So I answered that question through the eligibility slide, where we talked about you can be a nonprofit with a 501c3 status, or if you do not have the status, and it's fine to do so as well. So,
yeah, so that would mean that neither one of them had to have a 501c3 status, but one group has to be the lead organization for that application.
That's correct. And the question on, will organizations that have mailing addresses in Pearland still qualify to apply if the targeted programming will take place in the Houston area? And I think the answer is yes. We are looking to serve the Houston-Harris County area. And it doesn't matter where your mailing address is, as long as you're providing services in the Houston-Harris County area.
The organization needs to be Harris County based. So I'm not
Yes.
sure Pearland is in Harris County or Brazoria County or.
So it says here mailing address, so like maybe the office address.
So
I'm not
the
sure.
organization needs to be Harris County based,
Yes.
but within Harris County, you're not restricted to any zip codes.
All right, I'm just looking through all the other questions to make sure that we've answered all the other questions. Marcus, please help us if we have missed out any other questions in the start. I think there's a question about subgranting. Is subgranting allowed?
Yes, when you write your application, you can talk about if you're partnering with another organization, you can describe that, how that looks, and if there is any kind of sub-award to that organization.
Okay, wonderful. And just a response to the question, whether you get a copy of the question and answers. So all questions that have been asked today will be added to the FAQ section on our website after this webinar. And you will have a copy of this PowerPoint. So all attendees, we will be sent the copy of the PowerPoint. So hopefully that would help answer the questions that are on the chat as well.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the privilege of your time and for your questions. And we look forward to reading all of your applications. And we really look forward to working with you on this project. We hope that you'll stay involved no matter how, if you're selected or not, but we need all of us working together. And we appreciate your being here today.
Ms. Stack, there's one more question from the Q&A. If the funds are for smaller community-based organizations, should there be a budget cap for organizations who have a lot of funding or are larger?
So the budget requirements are for everyone. So you would submit, no matter what your size, you would do a budget line item for the project. And those examples of attachments regarding your financials, whatever you have that fits any of those things that are requested, then you would want to attach those. And those that you don't have, you would explain why you don't have it. So you may not have an external audit done or a 990, and that's okay. you would just respond that you don't have it and why. And, but your budget would be the same for any organization, no matter the size, would need a budget for the amount of money that they're requesting for the project. There is no preference for existing projects or new projects. When you write your application, you want to show what you expect in terms of a new project, or how you want to expand or improve a project that you already have.
So Ms. Tech, the same attendee has asked another follow-up question. The question is about the budget of the organizations. I'm concerned that large organizations will get the money and the smaller ones won't.
Well, one of the things that we are committed to, you know, when we wrote this RFP, it's talking about the fact that small grassroots homegrown organizations, that's what we're trying to bring those organizations in. And we're also going to be looking at a certain amount of funding that's going to be set aside for those organizations. So the intent of this whole project is to make it open, as Kelly indicated, that some of the feedback is that sometimes small organizations don't have the opportunity to get funding. And through this funding, that's one of the things that we want to try and rectify.
Wonderful.
We're right at 11 o'clock, so we're going to end, and we want to thank all of you again for attending. We look forward to hearing from you. Please make sure any additional questions that you have, you visit our website and send questions here to Youth Justice Fund info@Change Happens. Visit the website regularly for any kind of updates or information. You'll be able to find the recordings there within 48 hours. And also you will be receiving a copy of the presentation today. Again, thank you all. We look forward to working with you.